fact, Paul talks to wives. Is it Paul or Peter talks to wives? Let me define it here. Peter talks to wives. 1 Peter 3:1. Wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that even if any obey not the word, that they may, without the word, be gained by the behaviour of their wives. See, the world looks at Christians today and they don't see a difference at all in Christians. They don't see us speaking differently. They don't see us acting differently. They don't see us thinking differently. They see us being exactly the same. I have a friend, well, I had a friend, I haven't seen him for a while. He's a builder. And he was building a deck on a house for the architect that he'd been working for. They've been architect had been designing some houses, been building the houses, and the architect says, can you build a deck for me? So they're working on the deck. And this was a time when Hamas was really beating up on Israel. And so my friend the builder, and I won't mention his name because he lives in West Auckland and you might know him, but he's defending Israel, right? So the architect's inside in his office and he hears this argument going on between the workers and my friend. And he comes out and he goes, are you a Christian? He goes, yeah, actually I am. He said, well, how did you know? He said, well, because you're defending Israel. He said, only Christians defend Israel. He said, I'm a Christian too. They've been working together for 6 months. You know? And I know why the architect couldn't tell that my friend was a Christian, because I've heard my friend while he's on the building site.
Swearing.
Yeah, like a trooper, telling dirty jokes, drinks like a fish. I'm a Christian. You know? Do your workmates and neighbours know you're a Christian? Have you told your workmates or your neighbours about Jesus? Have you given them an opportunity to ask you about the hope that is within you, the hope that Robert had? Right? Daniel's older sister, only just older, Miriam, when she was about 8 years old, and it's very strange. You've got to be the father of the child sometimes to know what the child is saying. And we're just lying on bed and about to say prayers, and she says, Daddy, I just want to die now. And I was so proud of her. Right? What was she saying? She said, I want to go and be with Jesus. I mean, she knew she wasn't going to die now, but she said, I just want to die now. I want to go and be with Jesus now. The love and joy within her. Do our friends see that? The hope that is within us. The hope to overcome.
Another $10?
It's another $10. She's 15 if you name mentions. Put the t-shirt on, right? But it's the hope that when they ask you about the hope that was within you, you're able to give an answer. But we don't, because we are so selfish as Christians. We think it's all about me. It's all about me getting blessed. It's all about me getting financially secure. It's all about me. It's all about me. It's all about me. It's all about me. You know? And we just so got to get out of it. We want to, somehow inside, we want to be the super Christian, don't we? We want to be that great Christian. In fact, and unfortunately we're going to apologise for it and get on our knees in confession, but the pride inside us wants to be even known as a great Christian. Well, oh man, that Tark Barner, you know? But don't we want that? I mean, I pick on Tark because I know him well, after 5 years of doing Running with Fire with him. But somewhere inside us we want people to recognise us as a Christian and as a great Christian. But the thing is, we don't do anything. And one of the things, turn to 2 Corinthians 11. Paul, as I said, is held up as one of the greatest Christians, and rightly so. There have been over the years different Christians who've been known for different things. George Mueller is a prime example of a Christian who was known for his incredible faith. And Paul is held up and we read Acts, we read all the wonderful things that happened to Paul. Paul, who had hankies sent out from him that healed people. You know, and we hear about, if you read about Peter, they used to put the sick people out in the street so that Peter's shadow would pass over them and they'd get healed. You know, Paul who raised people from the dead. Well, here's him boasting about his faith in 2 Corinthians 11 and verse 22. Well, a little bit beforehand he says, are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Are they seed of Abraham? So am I. Are they ministers of Christ? I'm speaking like a fool here. That I am more, in labours more abundant, in stripes above measure, in prison more frequently, in death often. Of the Jews 5 times received I 39 stripes, 40 stripes upon. 5 times whipped with the whip, 39 stripes. Jesus was whipped once. I'm not holding Paul up above Jesus in any way. But if you've ever seen the Passion of the Christ and seen the blood and the whipping, horrible. 5 times, Paul says it. 5 times. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. 3 times I've suffered shipwreck, a night and a day in the deep. And journeying as more often in the perils of waters, and perils of robbers, and perils by my own countrymen, and perils of the heathen, perils in the city, perils in the wilderness, perils at sea, perils amongst false brethren. That's what it's like to be a Christian. Anyone want to put their hand up and say, I'm in? Or you just want to sit in the pew waiting on the rapture? It's a lot more comfortable, isn't it? You know, A or B. Beaten up, left for dead, rejected by friends, betrayed, or happily sit in the pew hoping the prosperity preachers are right and waiting on Jesus to come back. Because one of those is going to make it. The other one might just be in the case of, but Lord, we cast out demons in your name. But Lord, we preached in your name. To which Jesus says, depart from me, workers of iniquity, I never knew you. You know, I read my Bible and I go, I want to make sure I get to heaven. I want to make sure I get to heaven. My wife and I pray for a vision of hell for 2 reasons. Number 1, to scare the hell out of me. And number 2, to remind us what our friends and relatives are destined to if we don't tell them about Jesus. Yeah? I have 2 children who aren't walking with Jesus. I have a brother and his wife who aren't walking with Jesus. I have nephews and nieces who aren't walking with Jesus. Right? What happens if they die? From a Christian point of view, what happens if they die? They burn in hell forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Why? Because I was scared of offending them and telling them about Jesus. That's not a very good excuse. And I'm sure that they wouldn't be very happy about that excuse either.